In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to finish your work with the PCB mill by removing the board material, deburring your board that you've just cut out, and cleaning up any excess dust or fragments that were left by the milling process. The first thing you should do at this point is to remove the tape from the rear of the board material. Since right now the head is up front and out of your way, you just remove that tape, and at this point you can discard it. You will also need to remove the router bit that you just used from the machine, so we will go to the mill menu, select tool change, and we'll remove the router bit from the machine by gripping it with the tool shank, rotating it until we can get to the set screw, gripping it with the tool grip, turning the set screw counterclockwise, and carefully removing the router bit. And we can replace the router bit and replace the packaging into the mill supplies box. Going back to the mill, we can select OK or cancel at this point. I will select OK. The mill moves back to its home position. Now I will go to the mill menu and select material change. This again will move the head back so that we can remove the material that we just worked with. Now carefully, because this could have some sharp edges, carefully remove the board that you just cut out, maybe with your fingernails, or you can also use this tool if you need to get in here and kind of pry it up. Carefully remove this, and what we'll do is we'll take ordinary piece of sandpaper, just a nice flat piece of sandpaper, and I'm going to take and run the copper edges over the sandpaper, just scratching them a few times on each side. What this does is remove the sharp edges and burring from where you cut the board out. Now if you have a double-sided board, of course you will also want to do that process with the other side of the board. The fiberglass doesn't usually retain sharp edges, but the copper most certainly will. So go ahead and run that over a couple times. Make sure that any sharp edges are removed, and you can set this board aside for your use and population later. Now, we've already removed the tape from the back sides. We removed the tape from the front sides of the mill, and remove our piece of copper plate. Now this piece of copper plate, you can see we had a cutout here, and we worked with this here. This was from some previous work, but you should have a full copper plate minus what you just cut out, and your depth of cut. You can take this and put it somewhere, keep it for later use. You can cut more boards out of it. You just have to position them correctly for the place that you're cutting. You can get out a ruler and make some measurements and cut where you didn't cut previously. Now you'll see here there's quite a bit of fiberglass dust left over right here from the cutout process, since the vacuum wasn't quite powerful enough to pull all that stuff out at once. So what we're going to do there, underneath the computer table for the mill, is an old vacuum cleaner. And let me show you that down there. Down here is an old vacuum cleaner. Here's the end. Not very complicated. Down here at the bottom, you'll see that this is how there's a foot switch to turn it on. Just turn that on and suction up all the dust that's left over. Be careful not to scratch or damage the mill. And this vacuum cleaner is loud but effective. So, having cleaned up all of that dust that was created by your work, we are now done with the mill. So we can choose to not return to the previous position. This will save the next person quite a bit of time because they'll have to first initialize and do a material change before they set up their board material, instead of just being able to directly set it up in there. Okay, at this point your board is cut out. You have your excess board material for later. You have your milling bit if it is not dull for later. And the mill is ready for the next person to use. So, unless there's somebody waiting patiently behind you to use the mill, we'll go back down here to the mill controller and we will just shut that off. That shuts off the entire mill. Make sure that all the pieces that you worked with, that is the drill bits, the router bits, and also this is a magnifying glass you can use to look at your traces and make sure that they've all been cut out correctly. That should be in there. The tool grip should be in there. The Allen wrench should be in there. And the tape should be in there. That is ready for the next person. And this concludes our tutorial series on the T-Tech Quick Circuit 5000 mill and the ISO Pro mill controller software.